You're listening to WYAT Radio. That's WYAT Radio. Hey, what's happening? This is Papa Molly. I'm here at George's Majestic Lounge for their 84th birthday celebration. And tonight, 7 Walkers, right here on Dickson Street. Billy Kreutzmann, the great drummer from the Grateful Dead. George Porter Jr., the bass player from the Meters. Me and Matt Hubbard, 7 Walkers.
Just, can you tell me the sound of 7 Walkers? What's it a combination of?
Well, it's, the easiest way to sum it up is to basically say, imagine what it would be like if the Grateful Dead were from New Orleans, because that's kind of our whole vibe, is that it's got this, you have 2 innovators, 2 original musicians in the rhythm section. Bill Kreutzmann, who, along with Jerry Garcia, Phil Lesh, Bob Weir, Mickey Hart, Pigpen, and a whole bunch of other people along the way, they defined the San Francisco psychedelic sound back in the 60s, and of course turned it into a phenomena, a cultural phenomena as well as a musical phenomena. So, let's just start right there. Bill Kreutzmann, amazing drummer of the first degree, of the highest caliber. And the great part about it is that we were just hitting it off like old buddies right from the very beginning. I mean, just like had so many things in common to talk about, and just were really getting along famously. And then at some point, I remember looking at he was wearing a cowboy hat, and it had a Steal Your Face Grateful Dead emblem on the cowboy hat. And I looked at the emblem, and then I looked into his eyes, because it had been years since I'd even seen a picture of him, And I said, and I realized that he had introduced himself as Bill, and suddenly I just went, wait a minute, are you Bill Kreutzmann? Or actually, I said, are you Bill Kreutzmann? Kreutzmann? He said, yeah, man, it's pronounced Kreutzmann, but yeah, that's me, And I was just like, wow, man, it's like, it was so funny because, I think it really tickled him that I didn't recognize him, you know what I mean? And that we had been just like getting along great, even without me knowing that, So, I guess it pays to be friendly and honest and open with people, no matter who they are, because really and truly, we were already, by the time I even knew who he was, we were already friends. And then at some point, Bill said, how would you like to start writing songs with Robert Hunter? And, I was just like, okay, like, oh, I'm not worthy, no. But, it was kind of that sort of feeling, but at the same time, what am I going to say? No, I don't think so, I'm kind of busy, So, it was just a few days later that I opened up my email, and there's a song from Robert Hunter in my email box, and it was King Cotton Blues. And I just sat there and I stared at the words. I can't ever, I just staring at the words on my computer screen and just going, oh my God, And like, the longer I stared at the words, the more I started to hear the music in my head and like see this richness of these characters, And by the end of the day, I had the music for the song down. And I remember like thinking, wow, that was really, that was easier than I thought it was going to be, but are they going to like it, So we just like, within a couple of days, we had gone out to Willie's studio and recorded King Cotton Blues, Louisiana Rain, Sue from Bogalusa, and New Orleans Crawl. So from that point on, it was like everything that he would send me, I would somehow just really try to just be as, there's one part of me that was kind of like constantly thinking, well, I'm just afraid it's not going to be good enough. But then there was another part of me that was like, I've been doing this my whole life. These guys Bill and Hunter, they wouldn't trust me with this stuff if they didn't think I was up to the challenge. And this is like my time to really do something that, you know, that will last. And from that point on, I never ever looked back or felt insecure or felt like, you know, it was something I had to worry about.
When you read the song, you get more insight to it. And I haven't gotten to that point with King Cotton Blues yet. Could you just tell me, you know, what's the story of the song? What are the lyrics? What happens in the tune?
It's the story of a guy who's, you know, he says he's always been in trouble, never did know why. You know, he's spent some time in jail. He's you know, he may have even, like, you know, killed a few men in his day. You know, he's a rough character, and he's at the end of his rope, and he's you know, but at the same time he has a lot of heart. You know, and that's basically it. It's kind of like, you know, he doesn't start fights, but he's not afraid to finish them, and, you know, rough living, you know, hard drinking, you know, gambling, prostitutes, you know, I mean, the whole thing, you know, and that's basically the story. But somewhere underneath all that, the guy's got it. This character has got a heart, you know, and that's the guy in King Cotton Blues. And on top of that, it even has a few little kind of messages too that are like, you just have to figure out for yourself, because Hunter's lyrics are like that. They can mean different things to different people, and there's clues within clues. And, you know, there's one line in the song that when I first read it, I didn't know what to think of it, because it felt like he was almost taking a pot shot at the idealism of the 60s or something, because he says, take your revolution and stick it upper class, you know? And that's like, what a great play on words, right? But, like, it's also kind of, I think, you know, maybe it's a little jab at how a lot of people from the generation that wanted to change the world had copped out and, you know, subscribed to, you know, just being consumers or whatever. But that's just my take on it. You know, it could mean something totally different, because the very next line is, be kind to one another, dip your lights when you pass. You know, it's like, take your revolution, stick it upper class, be kind to one another, dip your lights when you pass. And that's the golden rule, and that's as revolutionary as anything in these days, in these times, you know what I mean? So it's Hunter's lyrics, the more I study them, the more I realize just how there are puzzles within puzzles, clues within clues that lead to other songs, that lead to other song cycles, that lead to past work and future work that he's going to do. I mean, the literary world he occupies is one of the most original things, you know, in American literature, as far as I'm concerned. To have somebody like George Porter Jr., you know, the Meters were the first live band I ever saw. So I grew up in Louisiana, and, you know, those guys were just gods, you know, and of course I was really, I was a big fan of the Grateful Dead when I was much younger too. And, so for those two guys to not only come together, you know, in a musical context, that's kind of history making right there. But for them to be in the rhythm section of the band that I'm fronting and writing songs with Robert Hunter, it's a dream come true for me. It's beyond belief, you know. I have to pinch myself sometimes. To hear George singing like some Grateful Dead classic songs, it just puts a whole different spin on it, you know, because he's coming from this totally soulful, funky place, you know. I mean, you know, I've had a lot of people that are like old-time Deadheads say, you know, George's version of Sugar-E is my all-time favorite version. You know, I mean, that's saying a lot. As many people have done that song, and even within the Grateful Dead camp, you know, of like all the different spin-off bands and everything, to have, you know, some of these guys say, like, George's version, he just owns that song now, you know. So, all right. This is WYAT Radio, Where You At Radio. You're listening to Honest Tunes, and this is Papa Molly from Seven Walkers. it's been an amazing thing. It really has. And then the record came out and did better than any of us expected it to. It debuted at #1 on the jam band charts, stayed there for 3 months, and of course, you know, we're out on the road right now, supporting that and touring behind it and making new fans. And you know, it's a great thing to be in a band. You know, there's all these super group projects that people, you know, they kind of like conceive it and it's like something that looks good on paper or whatever. This isn't that band, you know what I mean? It's not that band at all. It's like this happened very organically, and it's bigger than the sum of its parts. That's the only way I can describe it. It's two different worlds colliding in a very beautiful way. It's the whole New Orleans funk history, you know, coming into this world of the Grateful Dead and all the legacy and history that goes along with that. It's an amazing thing, and we just, you know, I'm still writing with Robert. We've already written most of the songs for the next record, and so we have a formula that seems to be working. We're sticking with it, you know.